This is a horse before we work with them on desensitizing. Oh my gosh, that's gonna be, that's really scary. And after we work on them with desensitizing, my owner says it's fine.
Howdy, and welcome to the Bar SC Ranch, where you will experience our journey of running a family business, caring for animals, and doing life together. Subscribe now and be inspired here at the Bar SC.
Here at the Bar SC, we love our horses, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about how we desensitize our horses to make them super nice and safe for the guests. And first up, we'll be showing you Bella, who is our newest addition to our mare pasture. And when we first get them, we like to just expose them to a bunch of things that they might come in contact to as we're riding and make sure they're good with those.
Bella, let's go tubing! We can fix this with a little bit of desensitizing. Hey guys, so I'm here with Bella, and Bella is actually one of the newest horses that we've gotten here on the ranch. She's just beginning to be to a point that we can have her join our string of horses, and before people or horses join our string, we want to make sure that we know what they're going to do and that they're going to be safe in a variety of circumstances. And one of the ways that we do that is through desensitizing. And desensitizing is what we do, one, to make sure that our horse is not afraid of our tools. You know, she moves on top of me, I can use my stick and string to move her away, but she's not doing that because she's afraid of my stick and string. That's a very important part of horse training. If your horse is listening to you only because they're afraid, you're not going to be able to get very far. But we also are going to introduce her today to a few things that wouldn't be a typical tool for us to use when training horses other than for desensitizing. So we have a balloon, we have a plastic bag on a string. Eventually, not in this episode, but in further episodes, we're going to be introducing a couple different horses to a tarp. And you think, what's a tarp? That doesn't eat horses. Horses think it eats them. Same thing with plastic bags. So one of the trainers that we follow most closely here has a saying that horses are only afraid of two things, things that move and things that don't move. And if you notice, that encompasses everything. So horses are prey animals, so they're naturally just going to be very, very afraid of a variety of different things. Things that move quickly, things that are something they haven't seen before, only because they're thinking they need to keep themselves safe. They're not a predator. Like, we are predators, humans, dogs are predators, cats are predators. So they do respond to us and respond to things in their environment in a very different way than horses. So with Bella, one of the bigger issues that we've had with her has been her spookiness. And before we would want to put a guest on our ranch here up on her and send her out on trail, I want to know that even if, a balloon, we get a lot of balloons here. I don't know where it is or what it is about our location, but balloons just blow in from the Bay Area and land here on the ranch. And I want to know that when that balloon is coming, I don't have to be terrified about what she's going to do. I want to know that I've been able to rub a plastic bag all over her body, wiggle it around in front of her, and not have her be afraid. But even just the way that she reacts as I move my body around her is something that we can desensitize. So some horses will have issues with their ears and not let us touch them. Bella doesn't have such an issue, but when they do, we make a point of touching them until they stop freaking out. And this is how desensitizing works. We're going to apply some kind of stimulus, not necessarily pressure, but she's going to take it as pressure because she's going to go, holy moly, that's going to eat me. And it's not, it's just a plastic bag, no big deal. We would never put our horses in a situation that actually could be dangerous, and through that we're able to gain their trust by exposing her to a variety of things that she's afraid of and showing her that those things actually aren't something to be afraid of and that she can trust me. If I tell her that plastic bag is not one of the ones that eats horses, I need her to take my word for it and go, okay, no. She said it's fine, I can go near this plastic bag. Even if she's a little bit unsure, I want to know what her reaction's going to be, and I want to make her reaction one that uses her brain and actually is thinking rather than simply reacting. So desensitizing is all about encouraging our horses to use the thinking side of their brain instead of the reactive side. So today we're going to take Bella through our basics course of desensitizing, and that's going to involve my stick and string, which we have here. This stick and string we use in a lot of our horse training, so we use it to move Bella's feet and gain her respect on the ground. So if I come in here to Bella and I'm marching and I'm asking her to move out of my space, she should move. Now that's a very slow reaction, really. We're still working on it. We're still working on it. She's a little bit pushy. That's one of her bigger flaws, and so we've been working a lot on her not being as pushy, and this is way better than when she first got here. So she's making wonderful progress. But now I also want to show you guys that even though she respects my stick and string and she moves out of the way, when I come towards her with active energy, she's also completely not afraid of it. So I want to be able to take my stick and string and just fling it all over her body, around her back legs. That really freaks some horses out, around the back legs or around the front legs like this. And you know what, on trail, sometimes things happen. You know, if someone drops their rein and their rein happens to get caught around their horse's leg, I want to know that that horse is going to go, oops, I'm stuck, and sit there and wait for someone to come help them. What we don't want, and what a lot of horses do when you introduce something wrapping around their legs, is stomp and freak out and pull away and panic. And if that happens, you know, if she puts her leg through a fence, as we're, you know, out in pasture, and we always try and have really horse-safe fencing, but horses are notorious for finding ways to hurt themselves. But if your horse puts its leg through a fence and freaks out and pulls that leg back, what they've now just done is torn open all these tendons and ligaments in their leg, and a lot of the time you can end up having to put a horse to sleep for an injury like that. Whereas a horse that's been taught to stand still when something wraps around their leg might just stand there with their leg in the fence and wait until someone comes and helps them with that, and that can save the horse's life. And so we want to know that our horses have these coping, sometimes I do weird stuff with my stick and string. But you know what? It works. We want to act like we have no idea what we're doing, because the weirder that we act, the more that she has to deal with, which is really good. But the more that we can desensitize and keep our horses using the thinking side of their brain, it keeps not only us safe, but them safe as well. So my next tool is this plastic bag here, and you'll already see, you can track that Bella is watching it and going, holy cannoli, that woman is trying to murder me. So this is something that she definitely has not been super exposed to, or if she has, it's been a little while. We can't say for sure. She wasn't with us. But I will tell you, she's got an issue with the plastic bag. So as I have the plastic bag and I'm using it, since it's something that she is fearful of, I need to do a couple of things to keep myself safe. One is that as I'm standing next to her, anytime I'm working with her, I'm going to hold my hand up here near her face. Because if she turns around to look at me or to move, I want to be able to bump her, you know, giant head that weighs, you know, 60, 70 pounds, probably close to 100 pounds on this horse, away from me. I don't want her taking me out with her head. Two, I want to understand that sometimes horses strike at objects that they find scary. And that can be with a back leg, that can be biting at it, that's a little less common. What's really common with a plastic bag in certain horses is for them to strike out with a front leg. So if I'm standing directly in front of her and waving the plastic bag around, there's a possibility that she'll strike out at it, and I don't want her to hit me. If she does strike out at it, I'd act like it's no big deal. If she spooks at it, still no big deal. It's all about my energy level and me telling her, you can freak out, it's fine. I'm just going to keep doing whatever it is that's freaking you out until you're fine with it. So it's that system of pressure and release. I apply the pressure, which is the bag, until she decides to stand still, and then when she does, I take the bag away, and she goes, oh, one, that object didn't kill me, and two, when I stood still and was calm about it, even though it was scary, you can see she's still like, oh gosh. If I stand still and I act calm about that scary object, it goes away. And so it starts teaching her that even when something that scares her is not attached to me, that she should just be calm about it and it's no big deal. And that changes so much about your horse. A little bit of desensitizing with some of these objects changes their whole demeanor. So we're going to get started here with Bella. I'm going to wave my plastic bag around. And one of the things that we like to do before, if a horse has a really big issue with an object, is to get them to follow it. So I'm going to do that for a moment here. Bella's not a horse that she's a little worried about it, but I've seen way worse. What she's doing right now is actually okay, but I'm going to show you what that looks like. So when I ask a horse to follow it, I let it move in the wind, I move the object around, while all at the same time having her follow the object. So what I would want to do is walk in a whole bunch of circles in here while waving my plastic bag, my tarp, my water bottle. Horses can be so strange, so strange. They just pick an object, and if it scares them, we have to get them over it. And the more times that we desensitize to different objects, the easier it gets. So I walk around until she feels like, hey, if I can follow this object, it gets less scary. You take some of the credibility away from that object being super scary. So what's going to happen next is I'm going to desensitize the space around her. And I'm going to do that just by moving the plastic bag kind of in her general area. I'm not just gonna reach out and jab her with my stick and with the plastic bag. That would be acting very much so like a predator. That would be showing her, you know, that is a really scary plastic bag because I'm nervous around it and it just comes out and grabs me. So I don't want her thinking that. I want her thinking and using the thinking side of her brain as it moves. She's responding pretty well, so I'm going to move it around the rest of her body as well. It's really not making a lot of noise right now, which really helps. A lot of horses, the problem is the noise. But I am going to reach out and I'm going to touch her. But as I do so, I want to make sure that I'm not in an area where either with her head or her front feet, she's going to strike out and be able to hit me. Doesn't look likely that she's going to, but we want to always be prepared when we're working with animals that weigh so much and are so powerful. So I'm going to take a little step back and I'm going to touch her with the plastic bag. And it's that noise. And you notice her first thing is to come on top of me. And that's not what I want. So when something scares Bella, she wants to stand on top of you and have you make it go away. So with that, I'm going to keep moving, and it's definitely the noise. It's not the object itself, so things like that. She's actually handling it incredibly well. She's nervous about it, but she's taking a lot of cues from me. You can see that her ears are back. She's listening to it. She's definitely a little flinchy. You can't quite feel her right now, but she's very tense. She's concerned about it, but she's actually doing a wonderful job of standing here and going, okay, it's making me nervous, but I know I'm meant to stand still. So that tells me that someone at some point has done something like this with her, because she has the right response. We want our horses, when they find something scary, to stand there and go, okay, I just need to wait. But she is also very flinchy about it. And her biggest thing is moving on top of us. And so see if she's gonna freak out, I'm gonna follow her with it. Notice she was fine with me touching her with it 1 second ago. And now she's very concerned about it just being right next to her. And that's why we prepare for, you know, things to go wrong sometimes. So I'm just gonna keep it right here next to her, right where it was when she was concerned, until she stands still. She stands still. I'm gonna make sure it's right here where it was when she freaked out over it, and I'm gonna take it away. But it goes to show that even though I could touch her with it like 10 seconds ago, every once in a while, you know, horses just have a moment and they go, you know what, it tried to eat me that time. And we train them out of that by showing her that running in a circle doesn't remove the plastic bag. The plastic bag stays there if you run in a circle, or if you try and run me over, or if you're freaking out over it, it doesn't leave. But if you stand still, we get a little bit of licking and chewing. If you stand still and use the thinking side of your brain, I'll take the plastic bag away and it's no big deal. So when she licked and chewed there at the end, we talk about it, we call it licking the brain. They're really thinking about what we've been doing and what we just did first. So she's thinking, she was like, oh, you know, when I ran away, the bag stayed there, but when I stood still, it went away. But I'm going to pick it up again and put it back in this area. It was definitely around her belly that she had that issue. I can still touch her with it, just like before. But I'm aware that clearly she's okay with it touching her sometimes, and other times she finds it really concerning. And so that's one of the things that we want to know about her, is that when things scare her, she can act okay about it, and then, you know, have a problem with it a few minutes later. All horses will do that. It's not this one in particular. But we want to start training her to have fewer of those issues. So we want to know, you know, one day we're going to come out here and I'm going to take the plastic bag and I'm just going to go, whoop, no big deal, and have no fear that Bella is going to have an issue, because we've worked with her, and that's what we do here. We want to know that she's going to be comfortable, safe, secure, both with just herself and with the people who are working around her. So I'm going to up the ante just a little bit with my plastic bag and start wiggling it around beside her. And it's definitely a little bit of the noise that she has an issue with. And that's what she took offense to before, was the air blew it. And she went, oh my God, it moved. It was actually really scary, even though it was fine a second ago. And you can see she's holding her head away from me, and she's holding her head very high up in the air. And these are both signs that she's a little concerned, but now she's looking and chewing. And her head's coming down just the slightest bit. And so licking and chewing is a great sign. A great sign. I'll rub her with the plastic bag and take it away, because she's standing still. She's showing me a couple signs of relaxation. I'll take the bag away and reward that. But you notice as soon as I stop waving the bag, her head lowers by like 3 inches. And it raises by 3 inches when I start waving it. And so with time and with more desensitizing, eventually her head won't, she'll be half asleep. And I'll be waving this plastic bag around her and rubbing all over her with it. And she won't give any cares. it won't be a big deal. Right now, she's still a little bit concerned, so we keep it up and we'll do this every day. You know, every day that we take her out, we'll do a little bit of desensitizing, if not with this plastic bag, with other objects that she might be afraid of. So now that we've done a little bit of work with our stick and string and with our plastic bag on a stick, and we have a little bit of an idea of what her reaction's gonna be, and we've been working on it for a little bit, Michelle's gonna join us with some of the scary objects that our horses encounter on a daily basis while they're out here trail riding with us. The first of which is a giant tube. Come on, Michelle.
Ashley, I want to go on a tube. I can't stop moving until the horse relaxes and stands still. What are we gonna do?
And it's like a giant, you know, like you're, whoa, it's an explosion, the horse is terrified. But in reality, the more that we do things like this in a controlled environment where it's not actually something that's going to hurt our horse, the better the horse is going to be and the more confident she's going to feel in herself, even when we're not around, even when she's living out in pasture and a plastic bag comes. We want her to feel safe and comfortable. So we work with her on things like this so that she can grow and be more confident in herself. And she made this improvement from freaking out to standing completely still so much faster than she was at the beginning of the bag.
When I smell it, it's very scary, I know.
It definitely tried to eat her. I saw
But
it.
we love to tube down our river, so these come out of the trail quite often.
They do.
And so we need to make sure that they're not going to be afraid of it. What do you think? Good girl. All right, can I touch you with it? Oh, it's very scary. Oh, but it won't kill you. It really will not. Good girl. And I'll take it away for a second. Maybe you can rub her.
I'm going to rub her with my bag on a
with your
string,
bag.
or bag on a stick, because that's still definitely scary when it jumps out at us at first. But you notice, I'm touching her with it after like 2 seconds of it, and she's concerned, but this is way better. Way better than she was the first time I did it. And you know what? It takes repetition. We're going to do things like this for her. Whatever she struggles with most, we're going to keep doing it until we can come out here right off the bat and throw a tube at her and she doesn't even care.
Can you see it? Wow, I think we care a
girl.
lot less. What do you think?
But whatever we do on one side,
We have to do on the other. Ashley, let's go to the creek! Let's go to the creek! Oh my goodness. We just got over it on the other side. Whoa! She doesn't like this side very much.
This is definitely the worst side.
This is the worst side. That's all right.
So Bella first had an issue with a tube when we were just taking her out here to ride her in the arena, and we store our tubes near the arena and they love to blow around in the wind. And one blew towards us and we realized, oh my, that horse has a problem with those tubes. And so we wanted to show you today on camera what we do to get rid of that problem, because we want to know that if someone's riding her in the arena or out on trail and the tube blows in, or someone gets out of the river while wearing a tube, that she's going to go, aha, it's that tube again. It doesn't eat horses, that's one of the good ones. And that she doesn't have a huge issue with it. And so it looks like this, and it looks super silly, and it looks like, you know, our horse is very afraid of the tube naturally, but we can't shield our horses from everything that they're afraid of. All we can do is expose them to it so that they realize it's not actually something scary, and they can become a more calm and productive member of our string of horses. So Michelle's gonna keep running at Bella with the tube and rubbing Bella with the tube until when she does so, Bella gives her no reaction other than relaxation and not even caring about Michelle and the tube running at her. So we're gonna check back in with you guys in a future video with some more scary objects, and also checking back in with some of the ones that we showed you in today's episode to show you just how much progress she can make, and that, you know, in a week's time she'll be a horse that when you come at her with scary objects like these ones, she goes, oh, I know how I'm meant to react. I've been trained and told how I'm supposed to react, and she'll be a better horse for it.
I hope you learned a little bit more about how we desensitized Bella. As you can see, she's very scared of balls and different inner tubes, but we'll continue to work on that. And next, you'll be seeing Michelle with Dusty in the round pen, and she'll explain a little bit more about why we desensitize and how it's helpful.
Hi, I'm Michelle Borland. I'm one of the head riding instructors in charge of all of the horse experiences that happen on the Bar SC Ranch. Today, I want to be sharing with you a little bit about how we maintain our horses throughout the year and make sure that all of our experiences can be safe and fun. My passion comes from really wanting to teach people how to be safe and have fun with horses, but then also to do it really correctly and in a very professional environment as well. From as early as I can remember, when I was a really little girl, I always wanted to ride horses. My parents and family were not country. They didn't know anything about horses. So I went on a mission to learn absolutely everything I could about horses. I had some great instructors, and I had some instructors that were just a little bit difficult. So starting at 9 years old, I just really wanted to make sure that if I ever had the experience to be with horses for the rest of my life, that I would want to always share those experiences with other people in a very warm and inviting and safe environment. When I was in high school, I had some wonderful girls take me in under their wing and teach me everything that they knew about horses. I got to shadow them at their jobs, and I learned how to become a groom and a rider for people who didn't have the time or ability to ride their own horses. That allowed me to go ahead and ride for the Clemson equestrian team in college, and then also the Cal Poly equestrian team in college as well. And after that, I went on to work for some professional reining trainers and a lot of other professional dressage instructors as well. So there are many things that we need to do to keep up our horses. Welcome to the wonderful winter land that we have going on right now, which means our horses are a lot more excited and actually harder to deal with than they are in the summertime. So one of the big things that we're gonna do is keep our horses desensitized so that they're not afraid of scary objects. And we want to keep them thinking. So horses are really interesting. They're prey animals, and humans, we're more predators. So we don't really think like horses do. Horses have two sides to their brains, a thinking side and a reactive side. So in the wild, if they're going to stay alive, they have to be able to react very quickly to things. And they're fight or flight. So they'll want to run away, and if they can't run away from it, they're going to fight. So here at the ranch, we like to provide all kinds of people with a safe and fun experience. So that means sometimes we have people that need to have jackets or may need to carry water bottles, things that if at all possible, we don't bring with us on our rides, but sometimes there's the need to have them around. So today I'm just gonna show you what we do to help make our horses accepting of those types of materials. So Maddie, if you could bring me, let's just start with the water bottle. So I was stating earlier that horses can be very reactive, and that they have a thinking side of their brain that we want to take over so that they're going to be more calm and not decide to run or do something stupid when they see an object like this. What we're going to hopefully see from Dusty today is that he's going to be a little bit afraid of the object at first, and then we're going to work through him becoming accepting and fine with our object. The whole point is that you can use anything. It doesn't have to be a water bottle. It can be absolutely any object that your horse is afraid of. And using a method called approach and retreat, we can get our horses to be accepting of these very scary objects. So the very most important thing that we can do is not allow this object to leave his presence too soon. So if Dusty reacts to it, I need to stay in there and keep making this a scary object until he on his own chooses to stand still and relax. Once a horse in the midst of seeing a scary object chooses to stand still and relax, that would be the behavior that we're looking for. We're going to take the object away. And by doing that multiple times, you teach the horse to stand still and relax when they see something scary instead of running away from it. So I'm not going to be very cautious or quiet, but I'm going to put this bottle around his face. And you can tell he doesn't like it. I have to stay here and make it scary until he chooses to stand still and relax. Now, relaxing, there's a couple of things I'm looking for. I'm looking for a deep breath. We look for them to blink their eyes. We look for them to stand still and relax, stand still for 15 seconds, to cock a leg, things like that, to lick and chew. Those are all markers that tell me he's relaxing. So we've done it once. We're gonna do this as many times as it takes for him to quit being scared of this object. And we have to stay here, stay here. There we go, and we'll take it away. You can rub him if you want to. You definitely don't have to. So he doesn't like it, but see how he's not turning his head away so much? There we go. Good boy. And that's really what we're looking for, him to just kind of look at it, but not react. There we go. And then I'll actually rub it on him. We'll do this over a course of 2 or 3 days till we can throw water bottles at them and all around them. Of course, we never hurt the horse. We never hit them with it, but we want to do anything and everything that they could come into contact with so that they're not going to cause a problem when we're with a guest. We make sure that we have to do both sides of the horse as well, because the horse's brain is actually split in half, and the right side and the left side don't really communicate with each other. So just because a horse is fine with an object on its left side does not mean that it's going to be fine with the same object on its right. So we make sure that we go ahead and make this horrible, scary noise and make sure that the horse is very calm and accepting of the object on both sides of the horse's head. So now we're going to try it out with a jacket, which is another very scary object that we see oftentimes. So anything that moves or makes noise is very scary to a horse. So again, I'm gonna actually step over here and start on the horse's left side. As you can see, he's already looking at it and he's a little bit nervous. When jackets are scary, they're flopping around. And yay, my horse is gonna be pretty awesome. This is what we're looking for, is that even though he's looking at it, he's not trying to run. He's definitely flinchy. Again, I'm not hurting him, but I want to let this flop all over him so that in case an object or article of clothing comes off of one of our riders, the horse is not bothered by it. So once he's standing still with the leg cocked and he's relaxed, I'll rub him and tell him he's the best horse in the world. And then I'll do it a few more times. We wind up spending literally 100 hours or more doing this to each one of our horses. Out here we've got 22 horses in our string, and I want to make sure that each one of them is properly desensitized and ready for a ride. At any given time we would take them out. So obviously he's nervous about it up here on his head, so I'll keep it up here until he's okay with it. And if he's gonna choose to move, I'm just gonna move with him. I'm not gonna try to hold him back because he weighs a lot. I wouldn't be able to hold him. And we want him to choose on his own to stand still and relax, be accepting of this weird object, and not be afraid of it. There we go. Now you're gonna be happy. All right, and again, I would need to do this whole procedure on the other side to make sure that he's gonna be very safe on both sides. These are just 2 of the objects that we use to desensitize our horses here at the Bar SC Ranch to make sure that each one of our trail rides or arena rides are fun, not scary, uneventful, and very safe.
Wow, who knew plastic bags and tarps could be so scary? But don't worry, Dusty's getting over it. And next is Lisa, who is a horse that we got from the SPCA from Monterey County, and we've been fostering her, and we've been doing a lot of desensitizing with her. So this is kind of an example of a horse that's been through the program and that's getting a lot better with the desensitizing. And hopefully, with all of this work, she'll be easily adopted out.
Today is a little bit of a bittersweet day for us. We are gonna say goodbye to Lisa. We've had her for actually probably over a year and a half. She is a foster horse from the SPCA for Monterey County. And we took her on because, one, they didn't have enough space to keep her at the shelter at the time. And then also we were wondering, hoping, thinking that possibly she could become one of our string horses. She's just a little bit unpredictable, very high energy, but a pretty nice horse nonetheless. Anyway, so today we're gonna get her all dressed and washed and ready to go to her new home. This is an example of a horse that's extremely high alert by nature. She's very reactive, very excitable. She's been here for a year. She's been here for a year and a half, and she still gets excited when we bring her to a new place on the ranch. So she left her buddy, her pasture buddy, out just about a quarter of an acre away, but she's really missing her friends. So we're gonna do a little bit of round penning and some desensitizing to get her thinking again, and then we can get her cleaned up and ready to go to her new home. That's the plan. So Lisa is an example of a horse that we took in. We thought that maybe she would be okay for our trail horses. But when we're looking for a good trail horse or a good lesson horse, we're looking for horses that will, after they've been worked with a long, consistent time, they'll be consistently quiet and by nature more able to think and be less reactive. So even though we've had Lisa for a long time and we've worked with her very often, she still, when we take her out of a pasture to remove her from her buddies, she still gets really nervous and has a hard time relaxing and a hard time thinking. We'll work with her here in a minute and you can see how she does come down, but she's not what we at the Barassi Ranch could consider a really good, safe lesson or trail horse, especially for guests who are maybe beginners or just intermediate riders. So we are going to find her. I know the SPCA for Monterey County will find her a great home. I hope people are able to watch this video who are interested in wanting to adopt her so that they can see she's an excellent mover. She's got tons of energy. She is smart. She does catch on quickly. She just happens to be very, very high energy. But she's proven to be still fun to work with. So I'll go ahead and get started working with her. So with Lisa, we got her all the way through the fundamentals. So she could do all of this groundwork. She could round pen. She knows how to back. She knows how to lunge on a lunge line. She's respectful with your distance and your spacing on the ground. We were able to put a saddle on her. We actually even were able to pony her off of some of our other more seasoned ranch horses. And at that point in time, we were thinking that she might actually work out for us, but she just is a teeny bit what we call explosive. So she would be going down the trail just fine, being ponied off of one of our seasoned ranch horses, and then she would spook, and spook kind of just big enough that people would have a hard time with it. And then we would work past whatever object that was, whether it be the rock. And she wasn't able to get past that. If we're training our normal ranch horses, we're going to expose them to everything. So we're going to continue to take them past those rocks and through the water and around cows, and have dogs run at them, and deer run past them, and even wild hogs. We've got a lot of wild hogs. Wild hogs will run past us when we're out on the trail. So we'll expose them to all of that literally 100 times before I would ever put someone on them, so that I'm 100% confident of what that horse is going to do in all situations and in all circumstances, so that I can anticipate and help the riders who are riding their horses with directions on what to do to make sure the incidences are minimal to non-existent. And so that is the biggest reason Miss Lisa here is going to find a different home. All right, so just to remind her that we're desensitizing her, I'm going to flog her with kindness. I want her paying attention to me, so I'm not going to let her stare off into the distance looking for her buddies that she's missing. And again, she's had every kind of weird thing thrown at her. I've put tarps on her and what else? Plastic baggies and all kinds of things like that. She does quite well. The purpose of desensitizing is that we just want to make sure we can touch all areas of her body with an object that moves and makes noise. Like sometimes we'll actually whack it on the ground. And we want her to just realize that when I'm around, anything that looks scary and moves around her actually isn't gonna hurt her. It's really nice to, the stick looks terrible. It looks like something we would whack them with. We don't actually ever use it to whack them, but it's an extension of our arm. So it makes it really easy for me to stay safe. And also, just so I don't have to move around as much, I can rub her entire body with the stick and string, and I don't have to move around a lot. The other thing with horses is that as you, the human, are making yourself the leader, the more I can move her feet around me and still get my job done, the better. So I'll move her from side to side and still rub her all over, so she knows, oh, I move her feet, she doesn't move my feet. And then I can still rub and rub and rub and tell her she's a good girl. Huh. There we go. She backs with the tap the air method. She'll back with wiggle wave. Walk and swat at her. Again, I don't have to actually touch her. She's very, very smart and super light. Let's see, what else did we teach you? Oh, we taught you how to the marching method of backing. So you can just kind of march at her and she'll back up. Oh, you're so concerned about your friends. So Lisa does tie. I just wouldn't recommend tying her and leaving her. Also, with our horses, I want them to tie and be able to stand for several hours. I know that might sound cruel, but at the same time, that's a horse that has a job and is able to work. Sometimes that's a part of their job. So if we're going out and gathering cattle and then I need to doctor or work a cow, I need to be able to get off my horse, tie it up to a tree, leave it there, and it's going to be happy and just fine until I come back. Lisa had a little bit of a problem with that. Sometimes she's great, and other times, woo, she was not happy standing there. And our desire is never to stress out a horse or, just make them so unhappy. So we just knew that we couldn't do that with her. We couldn't just tie her up and let her sit for a little while, because she gets very impatient, wants to find her friends, and is not happy. So when we groom her right now, I won't tie her up. We'll just hang out with her. And we like to use this blade only in the springtime, right now because she's shedding. We want to get all that extra long hair off. And thankfully her other coat's coming in and it's already getting shiny. The more you brush them with natural bristled hair brushes, especially soft brushes, they get really nice and shiny. The SPCA, ours for Monterey County or just anywhere around the country, they're always looking for families who can spend the time and take the, spend the time or take the initiative to go ahead and take horses for them. And like I was saying, it could be a short amount of time or a longer amount of time. But either way, you're really, really helping the community out by giving that horse a place to live until it can go and find a new forever home. So today we're taking Lisa back to the SPCA where she's gonna find her forever home. And she won't be with us any longer, which is really sad, but I know she's gonna find just a fantastic home.
We hope you learned a little bit about how we desensitize our horses. You got to see 3 different horses that are in kind of their different stages of the desensitizing process. And so we hope you learned a little bit about how we keep our horses super safe and how we can work with them with those things that they might come in contact with, and we'll see you next time.
If you enjoyed this video, we'd love to hear from you. Like and subscribe and leave us comments about what you might like to see in future episodes. We'll see ya back on the ranch.